Banished from the court by her tyrant uncle, Duke Frederick, Rosalind takes flight. Celia, ever the steadfast friend and cousin, goes with Rosalind, leaving her father, the Duke, and her station behind. Accompanied by Touchstone, the fool, and disguised, Rosalind as the young man Ganymede, and Celia as the peasant Aliena, they head for the forest of Arden. Orlando, ever put down by his ruthless elder brother Oliver, returns home a triumphant wrestler. Though he won the wrestling match, he lost his heart to fair Rosalind. Little does he know that Rosalind is also smitten with him. We now leave behind the walls of the Duke's palace and the trappings of the court, and find ourselves deep in the forest of Arden, surrounded by lush trees and an altogether serene atmosphere. It is a peaceful and simple life. Duchess MAJEURE, elder sister of the usurping Duke Frederick and mother of Rosalind, enters with Amiens, one of the nobles of the court who have followed the Duchess into the forest life.
Now, my partner in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here we feel not the penalty of Adam, the season's difference, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which, when it bites and blows upon my body even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say, this is no flattery, these are counselors, that feeling persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversary, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head, and this our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything.
I would not change it. Happy is your grace that can translate the stubbornness of fortune into so quiet and so sweet a style.
Come, shall we go and kill us venison? And yet it irks me the poor dappled fools, being native burghers of this desert city, should in their own confines with forked heads have their round haunches gored.
Indeed, my lady, the melancholy Jacques grieves at that, and in that kind swears you do more usurp than doth your brother that hath banished you. Today, I myself did steal behind him as he lay along under an oak, whose antique root peeps out upon the brook that brawls along this wood, to the which place a poor sequestered stag that from the hunter's ain had ta'en a hurt, did come to languish, and indeed, my lady, the wretched animal heaved forth such groans that their discharge did stretch his leathern coat almost to bursting, and the big round tears coursed one another down his innocent nose in piteous chase. And thus the hairy fool, much marked of the melancholy Jacques, stood on the extremest verge of the swift brook, augmenting it with tears.
But what said Jacques? Did he not moralize the spectacle?
Oh yes, into 1,000 similes. First, for his weeping into the needless stream. Poor dear, quoth he, thou makest a testament as worldlings do, giving thy sum of more to that which had too much. Then, being there alone, left and abandoned of his velvet friends, 'tis right, quoth he, thus misery doth part the flux of company. Anon a careless herd, full of pasture, jumps along by him and never stays to greet him. Ay, quoth Jacques, sweep on, you fat and greasy citizens. 'Tis just the fashion. Wherefore do you look upon that poor and broken bankrupt there? Thus, most invectively, he pierceth through the body of country, city, court, yea, and of this our life, swearing that we are mere usurpers, tyrants, and what's worse, to fright the animals and to kill them up in their assigned and native dwelling place.
And did you leave him in this contemplation?
I did, my lady, weeping and commenting upon the sobbing deer.
Show me the place. I love to cope him in these sullen fits, for then he's full of matter.
I'll bring you to him straight.
Back in the palace, an angry Duke Frederick has been alerted to Celia and Rosalind's flight. He enters, followed by the defeated Charles, now looking to restore his esteem in the Duke's eyes.
Can it be possible that no man saw them? It cannot be. Some villains of my court are of consent and sufferance in this.
I cannot hear of any that did see your daughter, Celia. The ladies her attendants of her chamber saw her abed, and in the morning early they found the bed untreasured of their mistress.
Well, what of the fool who so oft prattles about? What knowest he? Or, forsooth, the maidens who attend mine heiress?
My lord, the roynish clown at whom so oft your grace was wont to laugh is also missing. Hesperia, the princess gentlewoman, confesses that she secretly o'erheard your daughter and her cousin much commend the parts and graces of the wrestler Orlando, that did but lately foil myself, and she believes, wherever they are gone, that youth is surely in their company.
Send to his brother Oliver, fetch that gallant hither. If he be absent, bring his brother to me. I'll make him find him. Do this suddenly, and not let search and inquisition quail to bring again these foolish runaways.
We shift now to the orchard where our tale began. Orlando approaches the family house, but is met outside the door by an agitated Adele.
Who's there?
What, my young master, oh my gentle master, oh my sweet master, oh you memory of old Sir Rowland, why? What make you here? Why are you virtuous? Why do people love you? And wherefore are you gentle, strong, and valiant? Why would you be so fond to overcome the bonny prizer of the humorous Duke? Your praises come too swiftly home before you. Know you not, master, to some kind of men their graces serve them but as enemies? No more do yours. Your virtues, gentle master, are sanctified and holy traitors to you. Oh, what a world this is, when what is comely and venoms in the bears it.
Why? What's the matter?
Oh, unhappy youth, come not within these doors, within this roof. The enemy of all your graces lives, your brother. No brother, yet not the son, I will not call him son. Of him I was about to call his father, hath heard your praises, and this night he means to burn the lodging where you used to lie, and you within it. If he fail of that, he will have other means to cut you off. I overheard him and his practices. This is no place. This house is but a butchery. Abhor it, fear it, do not enter it.
Why, whither, Adele, wouldst thou have me go?
No matter whither, so you come not here.
What wouldst thou have me go, and beg my food, or with a base and boisterous sword of force, a thievish living on the common road? This I must do, or know not what to do. Yet this I will not do. Do how I can, I rather will be subject me to the malice of a diverted blood and bloody brother.
But do not so. I have 500 crowns. The thrifty hire I saved unto your father, which I did store to be my foster nurse, when service should in my old limbs lie lame, and unregarded age in corners thrown. Take that, and he that doth the ravens feed, yea, providently caters for the sparrow. Be comfort to my age. Here is the gold, all this I give you. Let me be your servant. Though I look old, yet I am strong and lusty, for in my youth I never did apply hot and rebellious liquors in my blood, nor did not with unabashful forehead woo the means of weakness and debility. Therefore my age is as a lusty winter, frosty but kindly. Let me go with you. I'll do the service of a younger one in all your business and necessities.
Oh, good Adele. How well in thee appears the constant service of the antique world, when service sweat for duty, not for meed. Thou art not for the fashion of these times, where none will sweat but for promotion, having that do their service up, even with the having. It is not so with thee. But, poor Adele, thou prunest a rotten tree that cannot so much as blossom yield in lieu of all thy pains and husbandry. But come thy ways, we'll go along together, and ere we have thy youthful wages spent, will light upon some settled low content.
Master, go on and I will follow thee, to the last gasp with truth and loyalty. From 17 years till now almost fourscore, here lived I, but now live here no more. At 17 years many their fortunes seek, but at fourscore it is too late a week. Yet fortune cannot recompense me better than to die well and not my master's debtor.
On the outer edge of the forest, Rosalind, disguised as the young man Ganymede, Celia, dressed as Aliena, and Touchstone enter, tired from their journey.
Oh, Jupiter, how weary are my spirits!
I care not for my spirits, if my legs were not weary.
I could find in my heart to disgrace my man's apparel, and to cry like a woman, but I must comfort the weaker vessel, as doublet and hose ought to show itself courageous to petticoat. Therefore, courage, good Aliena.
I pray you bear with me. I cannot go no further.
For my part, I had rather bear with you than bear you. Yet I should bear no cross if I did bear you, for I think you have no money in your purse.
Well, this is the forest of Arden.
Aye, now am I in Arden the more fool I. When I was at home I was in a better place, but travellers must be content.
Aye, be so good, Touchstone. Look you who comes here, a young woman and an old in solemn talk.
Rosalind, Celia, and Touchstone step aside to listen in as two shepherds approach. Kind and gentle Corinna, the older of the two, is in the midst of offering advice to Sylvia, much her younger and much in love with Phoebe, who we have not yet met.
That is the way to make her scorn you still.
Oh, Corinna, that thou knewest how I do love her.
I partly guess, for I have loved ere now.
No, Corinna, being old, thou canst not guess. Though in youth thou wast as true a lover as ever sighed upon a midnight pillow. But if thy love were ever like to mine, as sure I think did never one love so, how many actions most ridiculous hast thou been drawn to by thy fantasy?
Into 1,000 that I have forgotten.
Oh, thou didst never then love so heartily. If thou rememberest not the slightest folly that ever love did make thee run into, thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not sat as I do now, wearing thy hair in thy mistress' praise, thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not broke from company abruptly as my passion now makes me, thou hast not loved. O Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe.
Sylvia and Corinna walk on in conversation, as our banished trio converse.
Alas, poor shepherd, searching of thy wound, I have by hard adventure found my own.
And I mine. I remember when I was in love, I broke my sword upon a stone, and bid him take that for it coming a night to Jane's smile. And I remember the kissing of her battler, and the cow's dogs that her pretty chopped hands had milked. And I remember the wooing of a peascod instead of her, from whom I took 2 cods, and, giving her them again, said with weeping tears, "Wear these for my sake." We that are true lovers run into strange capers. But as all is mortal in nature, so is all nature in love mortal in folly.
Thou speakest wiser than thou art ware of.
Nay, I shall ne'er be ware of mine own wits, till I break my shins against it.
Jove, Jove, the shepherd's passion is much upon my fashion.
And mine, but it grows something stale with me.
I pray you, one of you question yon shepherd, if she for gold will give us any food. I faint almost to death.
Holla, you clown!
Peace, fool, she's not thy kinsman.
Who calls?
Your betters, ma'am.
Also are they very wretched?
Touchstone, peace, I say.
Corinna approaches as Rosalind prepares for her first interaction as Ganymede. Celia does likewise as Aliena.
Good even to you, friend.
And to you, gentle sir, and to you all.
I prithee, shepherd, if that love or gold can in this desert desert place by entertainment, bring us where we may rest ourselves and feed. Here's a young maid with travel much oppressed, and faints for succor.
Fair sir, I pity her, and wish for her sake more than mine own. My fortunes were more able to relieve her, but I am shepherd to another, and do not shear the fleeces that I graze. My mistress is of churlish disposition, and little recks to find the way to heaven by doing deeds of hospitality. Besides, her coat, her flocks, and bounds of feed are now on sale, and at our sheepcote now, by reason of her absence, there is nothing that you will feed on. But what is, come see, and in my voice most welcome shall you be.
What is she that shall buy her flocks in pasture?
That young admirer that you saw here but erewhile, that little cares for buying anything.
I pray thee, if it stand with honesty, buy thou the cottage, pasture, and the flock, and thou shalt have to pay for it of us.
And we will mend thy wages. I like this place, and willingly could waste my time in it.
Assuredly the things to be sold. Go with me, if you like upon report, the soil, the profit, and this kind of life. I will your very faithful feeder be, and buy it with your gold right suddenly.
Much deeper in the forest, Amiens has found the melancholy Jacques, the noble which Duchess MAJEURE sent her to fetch.
Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and turn his merry note onto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy but winter and rough weather.
More, I prithee, more.
It will make you melancholy, Monsieur Jacques.
I thank it. More, I prithee, more. I can suck melancholy out of a song as a weasel sucks eggs. More, I prithee, more.
My voice is ragged. I know I cannot please you.
I do not desire you to please me. I do desire you to sing. Come, more, another stanzo. Call you stanzos?
What you will, Monsieur Jacques.
Nay, I care not for their names. They owe me nothing. Will you sing?
More at your request than to please myself.
Well then, if ever I thank anyone, I'll thank you. But that they call compliment is like the encounter of two dog apes. And when a man thanks me heartily, methinks I have given him a penny, and he renders me the beggarly thanks. Come, sing.
Well, I'll end the song. Sir, the Duchess will drink under this tree. She hath been all this day to look you.
And I have been all this day to avoid her. She is too disputable for my company. I think of as many matters as she, but I give heaven thanks and make no boast of them. Come, warble, come.
Who doth ambition shun and loves to live i' the sun, seeking the food he eats and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy but winter and rough weather.
I'll give you a verse to this note that I made yesterday in despite of my invention.
Go on, sing it.
And thus it goes. If it do come to pass that anyone turn ass, leaving her wealth and ease, a stubborn will to please, Dutch dame, Dutch dame, Dutch dame. Here shall she see gross fools as she, and if she will come to me.
What's that Dutch dame?
'Tis a Greek invocation to call fools into a circle. I'll go sleep if I can. If I cannot, I'll rail against all the firstborn of Egypt.
And I'll go seek the Duchess. Her banquet is prepared.
Elsewhere in the forest of Arden, Orlando and Adele trudge on.
Dear master, I can go no further. Oh, I die for food. Here lie I down and measure out my grave. Farewell, kind master.
Adele falls to the ground, spent and worn weary.
Why, how now, Adele? No greater heart in thee? Live a little, comfort a little, cheer thyself a little. If this uncouth forest yield anything savage, I will either be food for it or bring it food for thee. Thy conceit is nearer death than thy powers. For my sake, be comfortable, hold death a while at the arm's end. I will here be with thee presently, and if I bring thee not something to eat, I will give thee leave to die. But if thou diest before I come, thou art a mocker of my labor. Well said. Thou lookest cheerily, and I will be with thee quickly. Yet thou liest in the bleak air. Come, I will bear thee to some shelter, and thou shalt not die for a lack of dinner if there live anything in this desert. Cheerly, good Adele.
In their encampment deep in the woods of Arden, Duchess MAJEURE and Amiens speak of the melancholy Jacques. Though we cannot see them, the Duchess is attended by other lords and ladies who have left behind the world of the court for the simpler life here in the forest of Arden.
I think Jacques be transformed into a beast, for I can nowhere find him like a man.
My lady, he is but even now gone hence. Here was he merry, hearing of a song.
If he, compact of jars, crow musical, we shall have surely discord in the spheres. Go seek him. Tell him I would speak with him.
Jacques enters.
He saves my labor by his own approach.
Amiens steps aside as Jacques approaches.
Why, how now, melancholy? What a life is this that your poor friends must woo your company? What, you look merrily.
A fool. A fool. I met a fool in the forest. A motley fool. A miserable world. As I do live by food, I met a fool who laid him down and basked in the sun and railed on Lady Fortune in good terms, in good set terms, and yet a motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. No, sir, quoth he, call me not fool till heaven hath sent me fortune. And then he drew a dial from his poke, and looking on it with lackluster eye, says very wisely, it is 10 o'clock. Thus we may see, quoth he, how the world wags. 'Tis but an hour ago since it was 9, and after 1 hour more 'twill be 11. And so from hour to hour we ripe and ripe, and then from hour to hour we rot, and thereby hangs the tale. When I did hear the motley fool thus moral on the time, my lungs began to crow like Chanticleer, that fools should be so deep contemplative. And I did laugh sans intermission. An hour by his dial. Oh, noble fool, a worthy fool, motley's the only wear.
What fool is this?
Oh, worthy fool, one that hath been a courtier, and says, if ladies be but young and fair, they have the gift to know it. And in his brain, which is as dry as the remainder biscuit after a voyage, he hath strange places crammed with observation, the which he vents in mangled forms. Oh, that I were a fool! I am ambitious for a motley coat.
Thou shalt have one.
It is my only suit, provided that you weed your better judgments of all opinion that grows rank in them, that I am wise. I must have liberty, withal, as large a charter as the wind, to blow on whom I please, for so fools have. And they that are most galled with my folly, they most must laugh. And why must they so? The why is as plain as the way to parish church. He that a fool doth very wisely hit, doth very foolishly, although he smart, not to seem senseless of the bob. If not, the wise man's folly is anatomized even by the squandering glances of the fool. Invest me in my motley, give me leave to speak my mind, and I will through and through cleanse the foul body of the infected world, if they will patiently receive my medicine.
Fie on thee! I can tell what thou wouldest do.
What, for a counter, would I do but good?
Most mischievous, foul sin in chiding sin. For though thyself has been a libertine, as sensual as the brutish sting itself, and all the embosed swords and headed evils that thou with license of free foot hast caught, wouldest thou disgorge into the general world?
Why, who cries out on pride that can therein tax any private party? Doth it not flow as hugely as the sea, till that the weary very means do ebb? What woman in the city do I name, when that I say the city woman bears the cost of princes on unworthy shoulders? Who can come in and say that I mean her, when such a one as she, such is her neighbor? Or what is he of basest function, that says his bravery is not on my cost, thinking that I mean him, but therein suits his folly to the metal of my speech? There then, how then, what then? Let me see wherein my tongue hath wronged him. If it do him right, then he hath wronged himself. If he be free, why then my taxing like a wild goose flies unclaimed of any man?
Orlando enters, brandishing a sword.
But who comes here?
Forbear, and eat no more.
Why, I have eaten none yet.
Nor shall not till necessity be served.
Of what kind should this cock come of?
Art thou thus boldened, man, by thy distress, or else a rude despiser of good manners, that in civility thou seemst so empty?
You touch my vein at first. The thorny point of bare distress hath ta'en from me the show of smooth civility. Yet I am inland bred, and know some nurture. But forbear, I say, he dies that touches any of this fruit till I and my affairs are answered.
And you will not be answered with reason. I must die.
What would you have? Your gentleness shall force more than your force move us to gentleness.
I almost die for food, and let me have it.
Sit down and feed, and welcome to our table.
Speak you so gently? Pardon me, I pray you, I thought that all things here had been savage, and therefore put I on the continence of a stern commandment. But where'er you are in this desert inaccessible, under the shade of melancholy boughs, lose and neglect the creeping hours of time. If ever you have looked on better days, if ever been where bells have knolled to church, if ever sat at any good man's feast, if ever from your eyelids wiped a tear, and know what 'tis to pity and be pitied, let gentleness my strong enforcement be, in which hope I blush and hide my sword.
Orlando sheaths his sword.
True it is that we have seen better days, and have with holy bell been knolled to church, and sat at good men's feasts, and wiped our eyes of drops that sacred pity hath engendered. And therefore sit you down in gentleness, and take upon what help we have that wanting may be your ministered.
Then but forbear your food a little whilst, like a doe, I go to find my fawn and give it food. There is an old poor woman, who after me hath many a weary step, limped in pure love. Till she be first sufficed, oppressed with two weak evils, age and hunger, I will not touch a bit.
Go find her out. We will waste nothing till your return.
I thank you, and be blessed for your good comfort.
Orlando exits to fetch Adele.
Thou seest we are not all alone unhappy. This wide and universal theatre presents more woeful pageants than the scene wherein we play in.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy, with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big, manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
Orlando enters, supporting Adele.
Welcome. Set down your venerable burden and let her feed.
I thank you most for her.
So had you need, I scarce can speak to thank you for myself.
Welcome. Fall to. I will not trouble you as yet to question you about your fortunes. Thou art, wise woman, right welcome as thy master is. Support her by the arm, good Jacques. Give us some music. And, good cousin, sing.
Jacques helps Adele as they exit to find her much-needed nourishment and then rest. The Duchess steps aside to converse with Orlando. Amy indulges her Duchess with a song.
Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly.
Orlando and the Duchess return.
If that you were the good Sir Rowland's son, as you have whispered faithfully you were, and as my eye doth his effigy's witness most truly limbed and living in your face, be truly welcomed hither. I am the Duchess, ally of your father. The residue of your fortune go to my cave and tell me. Orlando, give me your hand, and let me all your fortunes understand.
Duchess MAJEURE leads Orlando away to hear his tale and offer aid as she can.
Freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh as benefits for God. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friend remembered not. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly.